Today is your chance to discover the poet inside of you and find a community of people who are there to listen and to help you grow in the way you express yourself through poetry. I love poetry, and I'm so honored because with me is Beth Franklin, president of the Colorado's Poets Center. Hello, Beth.
Hello.
Good to see you. Also, we are beyond honored to have Colorado's 2627 Poet Laureate, Crisosto Apache. I am beyond honored to have you here. Thank you.
I'm great to be here.
Okay, I'm very happy, good. I wanted to ask you how there's a certain story you were telling me off camera about how you found out that you were the laureate.
Yes, I was sitting at my table just grading papers, and all of a sudden I saw the phone, and it had Jared Polis on there. Didn't think much about it because I thought it was a political call asking for money.
And you're like, I'm not answering that.
Yeah, so I ignored it. A couple hours later after dinner, I said, well, I'm gonna check my voicemail. So I checked it, and sure enough, there was that message, and I thought it was a joke.
So twice you almost missed it.
Right, so then a couple more hours went past, and I said, well, maybe I should take this seriously and go listen to that again. And I was quite surprised.
Well, congratulations, and Mazel Tov. It's a huge honor, honestly. Beth, talk to us about the Colorado Poets Center. What is it?
It's a poetry nonprofit founded 20 years ago by my late husband, the poet Robert W. King, and myself, but he ran it until he passed.
I'm so
and
sorry.
Now I converted it into a nonprofit, and it's essentially a directory of 315 Colorado poets. Crisosto is one of our poets on the site. And for each poet, there's biographical information, examples of poems or links to readings they've done, links to their website, their publications. And it's from poets throughout the state of Colorado.
Fabulous. That's a fabulous, amazing conglomeration of beautiful souls, I assume. What kind of things do you do to support new people to poetry? Because, you know, Gen Z, let's get to it, you know?
Well, first of all, you can be a published poet, like published in writing, or a spoken word poet, which is a more appealing to younger people. I do provide poets to schools if they want. Like this year we did a 4th grade, I found a poet to appear in a 4th grade in Denver Public Schools and a poet for a 5th grade in Greeley Public Schools. So we do that. We also sponsor readings, and the readings have an open mic, like monthly. I have a reading at the Boulder Bookstore. Always an open mic.
Is that right?
And just a sign up so anybody can come and read, and we have poets of all ages who read during that open mic.
That's fabulous.
We also have a newsletter, and in that newsletter we promote events, poetry events, workshops that are free. There's just so much poetry going on in the state.
What a great resource. What an amazing resource. Okay, Crisosto, as well as being a poet laureate, you have written 3 poetry books, and you're associate professor of English and creative writing. My God, what else do you do? In your opinion, what can people learn through reading and writing poetry?
One of the things I emphasize about poetry is that if you are interested in writing poetry, it does help elaborate and build your vocabulary. It also builds your voice so that you feel more confident in what it is that you want to express.
I told these guys before, I wrote one really good poem, and other poet, but there's one really good one, and it spoke to my voice, and I'm still very proud of it. Can you share how you were introduced to poetry?
Yes, back in 1989, when I first entered college, I went in as a painter, and later, my first semester, I switched my major to creative writing. And it was my first professor of poetry that convinced me to change my major to creative writing. And that's the current U.S. Poet Laureate, Arthur Z.
Oh, wow.
So he was my first introduction to poetry.
Oh my God, what an introduction.
Yes.
And what a beautiful thing that teachers do when they guide you in that right way. Beth, you say poetry is democratic. I wanted to hear what you meant by that.
First of all, every culture, every group of human beings has had poetry, has had lyrical language, chants, songs. And so
even the earliest, you're absolutely right.
Yes, and in fact, some researchers say poetry and lyrical uses of language came before actually communicative uses of language. So And through poetry, just what like Chrysosto was saying, we learn about each other because you have to write about what you know. And in that way of listening to people, we can learn about everything and everyone and all aspects of life.
I bet your husband would be very proud of what's happening. I really do. Okay, I need to hear one of your poems, and I'm gonna send you guys over to the stage while I do that, and please be careful as you walk over there, sir. I'm going to give our viewers some information, so go ahead and walk over. I'm gonna give them some information. You can become a poet. Yes, you can. You can be part of a new and creative writing community. For more information about upcoming poetry workshops, monthly poetry readings, and events, I want you to go to coloradopoetscenter.org. This is a lovely resource again. Beth, thank you for having this. Here we are, Colorado Poet Laureate Chrysosto, Apache's poem titled "There Is Light There" has been selected to be included in the National Time Capsule. Oh my word. So you can say you saw it read aloud by the author right here on Colorado and Company. This is Chrysosto Apache with "There Is Light There." Enjoy.
There is light there. The ray is a bringer inside the beginnings of possibility and a harvester of colors. In its absence, there is always presence peering through a fluttering curtain, shedding its color from the body into the shadow, casting the everlasting shade upon the rusty canyon walls and cascade of skyscrapers. The ever-transitioning gray shade and enveloping indigo is what is left of each given possibility. The possibility is to see others and even ourselves casting the long, desperate shadows, bending into scrupulous forms, reaching for embrace. Bodies are lost in the tangibility of the darkness. Maybe that is the reason why limbs reach. There is light there. From umbra to penumbra, drawing specific definitions of what is forming because of the concurrent illumination. The movements in each are because the sun rotates, the moon rotates, the stars taking a millennium to cast that momentary gleam so the surging energy can begin in the dances, the songs, the incantations, a syzygy. The weight of reflections reminds me the eye to seek what is behind the mind so a spark can be lit. A dawn for what can be expected in a yucca basket or a buckskin pouch. Summoning the blessings and gazing through all awaiting pollens of bodies. Finally, sprouting from seed and from water, where all stems travel through the soil, in an illumination bursting through germination, which is also a dangerous determination. So many cannot be cared for, so many cannot be recognized, never finding their opposite. Water will flow and fall, fauna will season and cycle. Feet will tread and dance into the night and welcome the morning. There is an absence of opposites as long as the search for each other never ceases. There is light there.
Bravo.